Hello, everyone. It's Rosemary McKinnon here from IG Wealth Management. I am very excited and honored today to have my good friend and mentor, George Kinder, here today. Hi, George.
Hey there, Rosemary. Good to be here.
Thanks. Thanks so much for taking time from your busy schedule to be here.
Yeah.
Before we start talking about life planning, which I know we can talk about forever, but we'll keep it to a minimum today. But I wanted to tell everyone a little bit about your background. I apologize for reading here, but I made some notes. So for all of you who don't know who George is, George Kinder is an author and life planning pioneer who founded the Kinder Institute of Life Planning back in 2003 after 30 years of practicing financial planning and tax advisory. And George has trained thousands of professionals globally in the field of financial life planning. He's written many books, including three of my favorites, which are The 7 Stages of Money Maturity, Lighting the Torch, and Life Planning for You, which are considered groundbreaking works in the field of financial life planning. George has appeared on many radio and TV programs and featured in the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, Forbes and Time Magazine, and has won many awards. He is also a mindfulness teacher, an artist at heart, and a husband and father of 2 beautiful twin daughters. So it is my joy and privilege to introduce you to George Kinder.
Great. Thanks so much, Rosemary. Nice to see you. Nice to be here. Wow, what can I say?
There's a lot there, George.
Yeah.
You've been living a good life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I was inspired to call on you today because I've noticed recently, as I'm working with clients and working on their financial life plans, is how relevant financial life planning is right now. And and the process that you teach, which is the EVOKE method, and again, how relevant that is in helping people achieve their best life and achieving their financial goals and dreams. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you've been a leader in this in your own way, in your own domain, and so that the world of financial services, and I guess all your audience probably knows too, that the world of financial services is filled with product salespeople and people who are not trained to really listen to their clients, but rather trained in a rather loud-pitched way sometimes to show them what they've got and to present the marquee, so to speak, of who they are. And what I realized many years ago, and one of the reasons that this whole field kind of mushroomed, was that didn't work for me in my own life as a consumer and or as a human being. And so I was rather offended at it in the financial services industry, which was an industry that I was very close to with my tax practice. And so I realized that people really, people want to live a life of freedom, and they don't want to be sold something, and they don't want to be told something that isn't true or isn't authentic or is a sales pitch. So life planning cuts through all that in the financial planning industry. It is the one aspect of the financial planning industry, the one domain of the financial planning industry that insists that we put the client first, so that who they are and who they want to be becomes our passion, not the sale of product. And so that's what I've stood for. That's what I've trained for 30 years. And I know that's why you and I have gotten along so well over that time period, my friend Rosemary. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. I just remember, my own experience. I found you and the Kinder Institute in 2009, after coming out of 2008 and the big market crash back then. And I'd seen, my clients' portfolio values drop, and I was having a sort of a crisis of consciousness back then, because I'd already been in the business for about 10, 12 years. And I knew I was always wanting to do what's best for the client. But in that moment, I'll be honest, I felt like we had failed them,
Yeah,
because we were only focusing on the money part, on the financial part,
yeah,
even though I always knew that it was more than that. It just, in that moment, I remember sitting with our wealth planning specialist and saying to him, oh my God, we've just lost the last 10 years of growth, and just feeling sick about it.
yeah,
So I knew that if I was going to continue in the business, and I did not want to abandon my business, my clients, I didn't want to stop doing what I was doing, but at that point, it had to be more for me than just about the money.
yeah.
And I was kind of going through a little bit of I don't know if you want to call it like a spiritual awakening or something like that at the time. And just for fun, one night I Googled financial planning and spirituality. And I found you. And I found the Kinder Institute of Financial Planning. So thank you, Google, for for bringing us together. And so I got to know more about you and what you were teaching. And I thought, you know what, this is it. This is something that I want to dive into, because I want to make sure that no matter what's happening with the markets, things that we can't control, which funny enough, we're kind of going through that right now, a little bit of a correction, but I want to make sure that no matter what is going on in the markets, no matter what the price of gas is, that we're going to be able to deliver a plan that is going to be so client-centered and focused on what the client really truly wants, that temporary blips in the market are not going to prevent them from having what they really and truly want.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. I don't think I've ever formally thanked you for that, but as a result of the training and the time spent at the Kinder Institute, I think that's another thing as well, is that I realize after all of this time is not only what I was able to give to my clients, is what it's meant to me as a financial advisor, and what I find, so much more rewarding, so much more purpose driven. Again, it's the financial piece is just one part of it, but I don't even know how to do financial planning now without, say, using the EVOKE process, or using the inner listening skills that you taught, or the appreciative inquiry that Ed Jacobson taught.
Well, you shouldn't, and nobody should. I mean, the to call the other work that is out there in financial services, financial advice, or financial planning is inaccurate. How can you possibly do financial planning or give financial advice without really knowing who your client is and knowing what it is that they really want out of their lives, so that whatever you do, design and structure with your spreadsheets over time, and all the skills that you have in all the different financial areas, is really targeted at who they want to be. And it's an all-weather kind of system, so that it will work for who they want to be in pretty much any financial landscape, basically. And I mean, obviously, when you have terrible events in the financial world, adjustments need to be made, but those are pretty rare, and usually the clients are ready to make adjustments if something like that were to occur.
Mhm.
So, but the main thing is that you're thinking about the client. If you're thinking instead about just about the money and or your own pocket, which a lot of financial advisors think too much about, it means that you're missing the signals on what would serve the client best. And you want that both for the client and for the sustainability of your business, and not to mention all their families and the communities that they represent and all of that. So we do a terrific service when we pay attention first to who the client is.
Yeah.
And we do a terrible service when we pay attention primarily to our products or to our own pocketbooks.
I agree. I agree. The other thing I've noticed is the relevance of what we refer to as the Kinder 3 questions as part of the exploration and vision phases of EVOKE. Whenever I ask the first question about, imagine you have all the money that you need now and in the future, how would you live your life? I'm seeing that a lot because clients, there's more episodes of sudden wealth. People are leaving work, especially this last couple of years. There's been an exodus of professionals from their jobs, and they're, having to make choices about pensions. People unfortunately pass away, and there's been, funds coming from inheritances, and unfortunately, divorces. So I've noticed that there's a large community of people now that are having to make money choices and money decisions that they've never dealt with before. So that question, although it sounds like a very exciting and fun question, can also be quite overwhelming for someone who's had first time wealth.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And again, the value of someone not going, oh, I can tell you what to do with the money, and here's what instead someone really listening to who the person really wants to be. That's what it's about. We only, maybe in India they live multiple times, but in North America we just live once, and you want to make it the best life you possibly can. And for that, you want the very best financial thinking and approach that you can have to making the most of your life.
Yeah. It's fun and exciting because, I love listening to what people have in their deepest heart's core of, what they want to have, do, and be. And probably no one has ever asked them that before. Maybe they haven't even had that conversation with their own partners.
Yeah.
So I find that pretty cool. So, and then question 2 and 3, although they're not as fun, they're, more difficult, because question 2 addresses, you find out from your doctor that you have some kind of a condition that you may only survive the next 5 to 10 years. And now knowing that, how will you live your life? And it's difficult to consider that question, but in light of, again, what's happening with people's health issues lately, and there's been a lot of focus on people's health, it's a really important question.
Yeah, it always has been. It's the the question. Really, those final 2 questions come down to what your legacy is. Who it is that how it is that you want to be remembered, who it is that you want to, that's most important that you be in your life. And without reflecting on those things and then having really skilled financial help to make it happen, too many of us live without delivering the best of ourselves into the world.
Yeah, most definitely. And then the third question being, you find out from the doctor, it's your last day, you have 24 hours left. It's not about what you're going to do with the 24 hours, but as you reflect on your life, is there anything you missed, anything you didn't get to do or to be in it? It's such a heavy question, but I just feel like if you're not living from the third question every day, you don't want to live with your song still inside of you.
That's right. From an old rock and roller. That's great, Rosie. I'm with you. And there I was in the early part of COVID. You probably know this. Maybe you visited the songs, but I I'd wanted to write rock and roll songs from the earliest days, and my family wasn't structured in that way to support that. So at age 14, I stopped singing, and then my daughter came along, and what a wonderful voice! And there we are in COVID times, and having this COVID summer with my two teenage daughters, and I had to figure out, what am I going to do? You know, how is this going to work? And one of them, as you know, I said, hey, you've got just an incredible voice. You're really talented with music. Let's do it. Let's make an album together, and let's do an album of protest songs. So much is going wrong in the world, and you keep telling me that. Let's make the album and sing it. And it's on Spotify now, and it has all the stuff. It has COVID in there. It has democracy. It has racial strife. It has really all kinds of things, freedom in a variety of ways, and the environment. Anyway.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I was so happy to see that when you did the song with your daughter. I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, and now this 70-plus-year-old with his teenager, to hear her beautiful voice and what has turned into a rather gravelly old man's voice. It's a wonderful combination, actually.
It is for sure. I think we talked about that. We talked about the two generations getting together,
Yeah.
And there you were making music together. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So is there anything new and exciting going on at the Kinder Institute these days? I know that because of COVID, the trainings have had to move online.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, that's been an incredible experience, Rosemary. You've participated, I believe, in one of them, maybe two, and
yes.
But as a trainer, but so many people have only experienced or had only experienced the in-person meeting. So, just think about, again, you know what this is, but your audience doesn't. These 5-day trainings, they're really the signature training now in what Rosemary's talked about as EVOKE. And EVOKE is a process where the advisor starts off just really listening and really looking for where it is that the client is struggling, and bringing kindness, generosity of spirit, empathy, patience, all good qualities, all good virtues to that area. And also noticing where the client is kind of excited or would be kind of excited, and going, wow, that would be wonderful. And so bringing kind of lending inspirational energy to those places of excitement or joy or delight. And so we train people in listening so well that those elements for a client begin to come out just naturally, because they're working with someone who clearly listens to them, has authenticity inside of them they can feel, rather than a sales pitch coming at them. Mm-hmm. And so the client reveals more and more who they want to be. And then we move into the vision meeting, which is where the 3 questions are, and then into the obstacles meeting, where we solve all the obstacles. So for something like that, as opposed to just a sales pitch about products, we always thought, and I would think your audience would think as well, and you probably thought as well, you got to do it in person. It's so personal. Because the training it's not play acting. When Rosemary came in, and I'm not going to tell any of her secrets here, but she came in, and there she is, and she now is charged with life planning. Another financial planner has come in. Mm-hmm. And that financial planner is charged with life planning her. And it's not fake. It's what they really want in life. So it's very personal, mm-hmm. intimate, 5 days of doing that with each other, with a dozen other participants and a handful of trainers. Usually more than at least 2, but usually it's 3, 4, 5, 6 trainers in there as well. So the training is incredible. And we thought, it's got to be done in person. Mm-hmm. But look at us right now. Here we are, mm-hmm. eyeball to eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And if there were 12, 15 other people on the screen, we'd see each of their eyeballs too. So we know when they're tearing up, we can see their face, we can hear them. If we can't hear them, we can turn the sound up. So instead of sitting in front of us, we're straining to hear sometimes when it gets very quiet, we can hear everything and see everything. So there are ways in which the training via Zoom is more powerful even than the training in person, because you're getting all this feedback, visual feedback and auditory feedback that you might miss in another training. And I mean, in an in-person training. So we have them now in Zoom, and we have the other thing that's cool is we'll get people from Canada, the US, Mexico, the UK, Hawaii. We'll get people intermingling, the Netherlands, all coming together into one group. I mean, we love it when it's one culture, but it's also can be really fun to have several people from other cultures in there. So, so again, it makes for people in Canada much more accessible. You don't have to travel. You don't have to pay the airfare. You don't have to worry about COVID on the way. You don't have to pay for the all the food and lodging and take 2 extra days out of your life in addition to the 4 or 5 days of training. So it's really been amazing, Rosemary. And it was stunning to me. I did not know that the trainings would be as good and possibly even better than the in-person trainings because of this ability to see and be with everybody eyeball to eyeball for the whole time. Yeah, incredible.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I agree. I never thought that it would be as personal doing something online as it would be, live. And, I would just say it's a very different experience, but both I think have their benefits. But the ability to do it online like this, again, it just opens the doors for, so many more people. I know, even colleagues of mine at IG Wealth have asked me about it in the past, because we have, I would say, as far as a financial planning company goes, I think we have an exceptional group of financial planners who are naturally empathetic and client focused, and the company itself is that way. And this is, as I said, a way I feel like you can sort of deepen your ability, when it comes to empathetic listening and compassionate listening, and having a formal process, whether the client knows that you're doing it or not. You're always evoking, like I always say, it's the way I do financial planning. I don't know how not to do it this way, because it's just ingrained in how I speak to people and interview people and do a financial plan. So, I can see that there has been a huge evolution in financial planning anyways. I don't know if it's just the times. I think you were definitely ahead of your time. And now perhaps, I remember mentioning it to one of my colleagues and them saying, oh my goodness, that's very too woo-woo, too woo-woo at the time, back in 2009, 2010. I don't know what that meant, but I don't feel like people feel that way anymore. I think mindfulness and active listening and all of the abilities that we have as financial life planners are inherent in what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's neat. You talk about the process, and it's really when you are a professional or you run a business, you want processes that work, and that's how you want systems and processes that work. And what's astonishing about this process is that it doesn't feel like a process. It doesn't feel like a system. So to the client and to anybody you're with, it just feels as natural as can be, because it's based really more in authenticity and relationship, an understanding of natural relationship skills, but also an understanding of naturally how we as human beings long for things, and how we don't feel connected to much of the kind of institutional world out there. So to instead have a real relationship with someone that's based on authenticity and authentic listening, we naturally move to who we want to be and to our vision. And then we naturally kind of wrestle with, well, how do we do this? How do we make this happen? It's a very natural process.
Yeah, it really is. So um, I just want to end by, I want to be mindful of your time, George. I know you're very busy, but I just want to say once again, how grateful I am for what it is that you do and what you've brought to the profession of financial planning, because I don't know that I would have been able to continue doing what I do if I hadn't have found you and learned your process. It has brought so much to my life, being able to work this way with clients. And I know that when I'm delivering financial plans, that they know that I understand them. They know that I've asked them the most, deepest, important questions that maybe they've ever been asked. And they're able to tell me exactly what they need so that we can make sure that we make that happen for them. It's got to happen. That's what really life is all about. And I think the past 2 years has definitely taught us about what's really important in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here we are, we're ready to listen. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary.
You're welcome. So I'm going to add a link to my on my YouTube channel. So if anyone is interested in your trainings, they know where to find you, or interested in any of your books, they know where to find that.
Okay.
And yeah, definitely check out George Kinder. He's a pioneer. He's one of a kind. And I just love you, George.
Thanks so much, my dear. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.
Okay, be well.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.